Respect to everybody who's going to come through who saw that. For everybody who's just thinking why I'm chuckling away, I'm having trouble with the actual pinning of this. And for whatever reason, it turned the camera around and showed you all like me dirty dishes. Like, that's not how to start a chat. So I had to style it, but we're back. We're back. I managed to pin, and now we're going to wait for my boy James Brander to come through so we'll be able to chat with him on Loose Lips. If you're new to it, what it is a chat show geared towards spreading love, light, optimism to everybody during this time. And yeah, we've got a full series of chats. So there are 47 in the initial chats. You can find them on YouTube if you head to Pop Cult Chic. Or likewise, if you go onto Instagram, we've got a pop.cult.chic and you can find them all on there. Do you know why I'm sort of stuttering? Is Brander, who I'm going to be speaking with now, he was in the group before, but I don't know if he saw me log out having my panic and just thought, oh, he's not doing it. And he's not in group now, so fingers crossed he's not done that. This is funny. Right, I'm waiting for him to come through. Shout out to Neil, who's just come through to the group. We're speaking with Neil later on, actually. And now he's probably seen this thinking, what's going on? What's going on? All the others have been so smooth as well. This is funny. Right, I wonder how... Yes, he's in the group. He's in the group. Yes, here we go. James Brander is in the group. Everyone will be able to explain the reason why. So he's sending group now, sending request. There we go. Let's get this locked in. Oh my days, man. Mate, that was crazy. Did you see that? Did you see that initial thing? Because you came into a group as I logged off.
Yeah, you did it. I don't know what happened there.
So what I did, basically, there's this new thing. I say new. Anyone who's like sort of big time in the game of Instagram knows how to pin. But the pinning's really like, it's just not pinning. It's almost like loose blue tack where you think you've stuck it and then it drops down. So anyway, right, I'm trying to pin it and it's turned the camera around and it's showing everyone all my dirty dishes. I thought, I can't be having that going out on video. So I've had to like shut the chat, log off, but then you logged on as it did. So I thought you just thought I'd bailed.
Abandoned it. Am I sideways? Or am I
yeah, you're well sideways. This is
right,
like
okay.
Inception, like, yes. I was tilting my head.
I'm in. Come on.
How are you, brother? You're all right?
I'm all right, yeah. It's pretty good here. Not so bad at all.
Wait. Let's do this proper.
Look at that. Beautiful.
Cheers. Good to see you, sir.
Oh, mine's water, unfortunately. I'm out of little bottles, which is what I've been having for the last 4 weeks, however long it's been. Them little BDOs from Sainsbury's been doing me nice. But not 5 o'clock, not even for me.
How have you been finding it?
You know what? I've been all right. Yeah. I've been finding it pretty good. I mean, it's different for everyone, isn't it? But I've been, I shut myself away and do a lot of music and turning knobs and stuff like that most of the time anyway. So I don't really talk to a lot of people. So it's pretty much exactly the same for me. I'll be shut away in a little room doing my thing. So it's not a lot's changed in that respect.
Did you have any material that we're looking to be released over this time that's had to be put on back burner?
We have, but we've not backburnered it. It's going out anyway. It's all happening because, to be fair, it's given us a little bit more time to concentrate on doing stuff like artwork and write-ups and bios and all that sort of non-music side of things. So we've all been sort of pretty on it in terms of admin because we've been sat here on computers all day and stuff like that. So it's been it's been sound. It's been really good. This is probably the most productive that I've been in ages. So
It's one of them in it where, you know, those sort of side hustle jobs like the bios and updating regular things which are just as important, but you never can pull yourself to, like, once they're done, but you never find the time. It's almost like in this period you've been able to access all those jobs so they don't have to be done again, but
yeah,
give you the platform for when everything else comes on top.
100%. It's a different way of doing things. It's a different way of working, but it's class. If you can find your routine, I think that's the thing. You know, I think for a lot of people struggling, it's mainly because their day-to-day routine's been swept away, and they're now in a totally different world. Whereas my routine's only changed a little bit, so I'm sort of, I'm getting by. It's all right. It's all good.
Do you know what's funny is like I saw a meme at the very, very start of all this, and it said, when the world seems to come to a standstill, yet your routine doesn't change. And that's what it felt like for me.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, well, everyone's just doing what I sort of do now. And then I was like, all right, fair. Well, what else should I be doing then? It was crazy because the only thing that's different is obviously on a weekend when you're out playing music or what have you, I'm out DJing or what have you. And it's like, we're still doing the same stuff away from that, but
mm-hmm.
how much are you missing that live element of it?
Quite a fair bit, to be fair. It is, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, Thursday. It's not, I've not spoken to other human beings in a long time, other than my family who live here. So it is. I do miss the live stuff quite a lot. I'll be happy when the venues are back open and we can be back partying again. I'm sure yourself. It's exactly the same. You're missing a lot of buzz, a lot of energy, but I'm finding as well, though, to be fair, Mondays are a lot better now, because Mondays you used to just be sleeping it off, maybe even edging into Tuesday, Wednesday morning, whereas now we're starting Monday morning and I've got like 3 extra days in my week, which is amazing.
Yeah, because especially if you're just coming to Wednesday knowing that Thursday you're going to be back on that grind as well, it's literally the whole week you're losing.
Yeah, so I've just found these bags of time. So we're putting them to good use, getting loads of material done, and music will be actually coming out, which is exciting. That's
right. Well, anyone who's just tuning in, this is James Brander. For me, he is a musical mercurial. That's exactly what he is. He's multi-instrumental. He's got a great range in his tone and also an incredible songwriter. And one of the things with you when you are performing out and about, so say when you're doing your sort of sets on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, when it's more covers, I always love, like, sometimes when you see people doing covers, they essentially do like the generic, like, popular favorite ones, but you really like reach out and bring in a lot of your own taste as well. So when you're doing these, are these a bit like a crash course for you, that when you come to writing your own material, you're like, well, I'm singing Frank Ocean, I'm singing Jamie Woon, and I'm seeing how they're weave there, so, and is it almost like an X-Men character, really? Like, is it a bit of a mutant power that you're able to absorb all these like great songwriters through what you're doing for your actual vacation?
That's a good question, because for me, it's always been a separate thing, the writing and the performing. Not that I don't necessarily dissect, because I do, but I think in terms of the performing for my livelihood side of things, I've got to play for 2 hours. So if I'm going to play for 2 hours, I'm going to play on my terms, if you know what I mean. So I'm playing songs that I like as much as I can get away with, you know what I mean? Which is why I'm playing, Frank Ocean, Jamie Woon, etc., because that's the music that I listen to. And I'm sure yourself, if you've got you're doing a set, it's not work. You're still having a good time. You're still doing your thing, but you've got a lot of time that you've got to fill in order to get paid. So you want to, you're slinging it in on your own terms.
Well, the thing is, you don't know what people like, but so you might as well play what you like, knowing that you can do a good job of what you like and people will get it, rather than trying to guess what people like and fall in a cropper. But the reason I asked the first bit is, even say like when I do my stand up, I get inspired by the DJ sets that I do because there's certain times where I'll be DJing and I want to kill the room. Like I want to like, you know, people have come in at different parts and they're all having a different part. And it's like, I want to reset the room. That's probably a better term than kill the room. I want to reset the room so that everyone's like, what's he doing? And then join it back so everyone's together at once. And that's what I've done in my comedy now. So it's like all the different variations of performing or live elements that I have, even though they seem different streams, I've figured out and I can see like the same psychology to them.
I know what you're saying, and I suppose I'm DJing as I'm going, in a way, because I'm trying to read a room in a similar sort of fashion and think, what, that just crashed and burned. So let's try something totally different. I mean, it's a little bit different when you're in a more subdued atmosphere, I suppose, than if it's in a loud bar scene. But we do a bit of both.
But you've switched tunes halfway through, I bet. When it's not working, you've just like,
oh yeah, 100%. Like more than probably 2 or 3 times a song sometimes, just because you've got to do what's right for the vibe. And as much as I do like playing what I like playing, sometimes you've just got to play some of them ones that they're going to work. That's another element, I suppose.
Where can people see you playing these sets?
You can see me playing sets in Blackhouse, in the Botanist, in Neighbourhood, Porto. Anyway, I play all over. A lot of it's private stuff though nowadays. Weddings and shows and stuff like that, because that's where the cheddar is. You know what I mean? So I'm doing bits and bats for everyone. But you'll see me at some point somewhere if you're about in bars, in Leeds, in restaurants and bars and whatever else.
How do you get the balance of rehearsing them and rehearsing your own stuff?
Just never rehearse and you'll be sound. Just never rehearse anything. That's kind of when I first started doing it, which was like 7 years ago. I didn't know enough songs to even do 20 minutes. So I just got some lyrics out on my phone and I was just like, boom, right, there we go. We'll sing that one, that one, that one, that one. And I've just been doing that ever since, really. I didn't really practice songs. I just got really good at winging it. And if you get really good at winging it, you don't actually have to ever rehearse at all. You can just turn up, which is sound. So
You're funny guy.
I don't really put a lot of, I mean, it sounds bad, doesn't it? I don't really put a lot of time in it, but I don't. We just rock up, we play the songs, we go home, we have a few pints. It's a great life. It's decent.
Utilise your tab.
That's it, 100%. But I do put quite a lot of time on the flip side into the rehearsing my own, original stuff, because that's what really matters to me, I suppose, the most. Making sure that that's right.
You've done various projects before the Wildest, so would you like to take us through like the different incarnations that you've done, or incarnations rather?
I'll take you through both, and I suppose the first major one would be the Mexanines. That was long-standing, 8-9 years or something. We were doing that, and that was, we met at school. Started when we were 15. And that's a very different project to what Wildest is, I think. That was definitely guitars, 100% all the time, guitars. And I love guitars, I love guitar music. And that was just sort of trying out how loud we could make 3 people sound. For about 8 years, which was great, and it was definitely the most fun I've ever had. And we were, fairly successful. We did a couple of big tours, big shows, big festivals, and stuff like that. And we had a decent following. And then did my own thing for a couple of years after that. Started to slow down.
But what's it like when you're in the thrust of that? When you're sort of coming through in that scene at that time?
I think
did it feel like you were on the verge of like stepping into mainstream?
Always, constantly. But I think especially as a younger man, dare I say, and doing it all first for the first time in my life, it all feels new. So the first time you ever fill a room, or the first time you ever play in a place that's not your city, or the first time you hear people singing stuff that you've written back to you and stuff like that, all these things are firsts that only ever happen once. You only get to kind of experience that, and you feel it growing and growing, and it's that sort of experience all the time of things that are new that makes you feel like you're nearly there, you're nearly getting it, because it's always exciting. And
does it feel like it's getting closer, or does it feel like it's getting further away the closer you get because it's getting closer?
Always further away, definitely.
I
think the more experience you get, and the more you can look back on things, you realise how far away you were. But at the time, you felt inches away, you know what I mean?
I was speaking with somebody last week on here, Danny DeVille, who's a filmmaker and director, and he used the term chasing it down. And I've never heard that before. I'd never really liked the sentiment of I'm chasing my dreams, I'm chasing, because I don't like the idea of chasing, it should be coming to you. But when you're chasing it down, it's just made a switch in my head, like you're getting closer. But it is crazy because when you do think about it, like the amount of stuff that you've done, you've learned, like we have this conversation all the time, we won it all the time, do you know what I mean? It's like we know we're ready, and yet it's still not sort of there. And it feels close, but it feels like it's getting away. But when you're chasing it down, you know that he's getting closer. So I wonder at that point when it was sort of like, it was sort of settling down a bit, and you're a bit disheartened. You've gone on to do your own stuff, like you say, but what sort of a knocking was that at that time? And was it difficult to get yourself back up?
It is difficult because I think, especially if it's your first trip through, and you're constantly on the up all the time, as soon as you start to level off, it feels like a blow. It kind of feels like you're going backwards. You're not going backwards. You're just going up a little bit less hastily than you were before. But it does feel like a bit of a backwards step, but it's not really. It's more about you're only ever 2 or 3 days away from wherever you think making it is, I think. And you work for 4 or 5 years to get to the point where you're 2 or 3 days away from it, and you can sit there then forever.
Yeah,
it's just that little bit crossing over to the other side. And when you cross over to the other side, wherever the other side may be, it'll take a week, my belief is, and then your life will be totally different. You'll know when that step has happened, and you always are. You're very close to that point at all times, which is why I feel like we always thought we were nearly there, because we always were nearly there. But that final little bit is the bit. That's the bit that makes or breaks everyone, and that's the bit that you've got to get over. And that's where 99% of bands break up, including my own, because that bit you may never get over that bit. You can sit around that bit for a long time. There's a lot of people never make it to that bit, but then there's a lot of good bands that just sort of sit around that point forever until eventually they just can't keep going with the same momentum anymore. You start to fall off, or anything. Life changes.
So when you went solo, was that another thing to then, or your own project rather, was that again to boost that momentum and build that momentum in your own terms? Because if you're almost there and then you've got other members as well, and this is from school as well, you know what I mean? You're all growing up together, you're all boys in it. And then sometimes like you can lose sight of being boys because like this is happening, and it's like, well, now let's get back to basics of what it is about what started us off. And it's like, right, are we fully committed? And then you've made this step then. So was that more of a like to just get away from what you'd been? Were it to pursue further and think you could get over that bit solo, or were it to just rediscover your own taste again?
I think the problem I've got is that I like too much music, and I love guitars, but I also love pop music, and I love hip hop, and I love house music, and I love different types of music. And it's not that I didn't want to be in a band forever. It's that, I want to explore everything that I can. I want to make loads of different types of music. And I think when you're in a band, you can only really make music that bands make. Once you've put music out and you've got an identity, because you have to have an identity in order to be, marketable. You can't switch it up all the time. You've got to be a thing. And I don't really want to be one thing all the time. I want to be different things, put different hats on. Not obviously, I just wear this one hat.
Yeah, that's
but put as many different hats on as I can get underneath this one, and just try it all out. So I think that was just a period of time for me to discover what I wanted to do, what I wanted to make, and then not meeting Harry and Jack, because I've been mates with them since about 10 years, but we all just we've been mates for a long time. We were all making music, and we'd never done it before together. We'd always talked about doing it. We talked about it for 5 or 6 years, but we'd never actually done anything. So we just thought, we'll give it a go. And it turns out, at least at this point in our lives, we're all into the same thing. We all want to do the same sort of thing. So Wildest was incepted, if that is the correct term.
Well, when you all sort of started performing live, I think I got to see some of the earlier ones and that. There was an instant chemistry, like straight away. And what stood out from what you just said is that you wanted to do a lot more. You're into so many different types of music. Maybe back then that wasn't like an attribute, whereas now I believe it is. So do you think it's also about timing and the fact that you are with these boys in the band that you're in? Because your style, I mean, firstly, how would you describe Wildest style? Because I can sense a lot of different influences. And do you think that time's moved on where audiences are a lot more open to the versatility of the styles that you can bring to your music?
Yeah, I'd say it is a little bit of everything that we like. It's the sort of music that I want to listen to.
Yeah,
it's my favorite kind of music. I don't even know what that is, but there's elements of, it's definitely pop music. There's guitars, but it's not really guitar music. It would be insulting to say it was hip hop, but it is mainly those sort of tempos, those sort of drum machines, that sort of thing. R&B esque sort of thing. What would you say is?
I'd say beyond any genre, it's got substance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it. I think like back in the day, it was like you had to be either indie or pop or rock and roll or soul or whatever. Whereas now, you can be almost anything if you've got substance. And that's what I mean is like when I seen the Wildest perform at Porto and he smashed it, like there was one tune which sounded very I don't know if it like, I was going to say Kasabian because of my boys, but it weren't Kasabian-esque, but it just had like a early Kasabian sort of experimental electronic way, even though it weren't Kasabian. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, you could tell there was like an influence of house in it, but the hooks were very indie. But then it almost had like a bit of a disco like groove to it, and then it goes off into a Daft Punk ending, and it was just like, my face was just like, what is going on? And it was just sick. And that's for me, what was nice is I could step back and rather than try put it in a genre, I could detect the influences of who you've liked to put together. And I think that's why it's got substance.
That's the plan. I think as long as we enjoy doing it and we love the songs we're making, that should hopefully come across. If it's not necessarily coherent as to what it is, I don't suppose that even matters. It
But
is
that's what I mean. Do you think that's different nowadays to when it was maybe 5, 10 years ago? Do you think it's a lot more accessible to impact audiences by not having a specific genre to lead with?
100%. I think certainly 10 years ago, you were in a indie band or a rock band and you were in that camp and you hung around with bands that were in that camp and you played in the same venues, you had the same fan bases, and it was almost like a punk and, modern rockers and stuff like that. But I think nowadays it doesn't matter anymore. And certainly in fashion as well, there was a lot of, we dressed a certain way because we were into a certain thing, and other lads who are listening to someone else would dress something else. Whereas now it's just do what you want, just wear what you want, do what you want. Nobody really cares, and I suppose that's the sort of music that we're making. It's a little bit of everything, for better or worse, I suppose.
It's been a proper passion project between you boys. I think you've been on it I think 3 years it'd be like. Do you know what I mean? I think like you've definitely been like recording for a good 4 years, let's say 3. But do you feel you're in a position now to, you're on about releases? Is it EPs? Is it albums? Are you holding particular tunes back? Do you think the experience that you've had before on been that trajectory? Do you now know how to play the game a bit more now? Do you feel a bit more wise with when it comes to your releases? You don't just want to throw everything out and not have anything to follow it up. Are you a bit more calculated this time round?
Yeah, I think that's why it's taken so long, really, for us to actually put something out. Because we've still not got a single bit of music out there in the world. Mainly because I think we have been waiting until we've got something that we feel really represents what we want to do.
But are you in your own head with that, though? Could you be in your own heads with, like, knowing when to release it?
Yeah, we are, our own worst enemies. We've probably got 25, 30 tunes that are finished, that are ready to go. And we've just never put them out because as soon as it's done, we're on to the next one. And because I think we, more than anything, we love the process. We love making music, and selfishly, we love making music that much that we're just keeping it for us right now, which is, we like it. We listen to it all the time. So, but obviously, at some point, the idea is that we're going to let other people hear it. Other people are going to listen to it. Hopefully, they're going to like it. But for the last 3 years, it pretty much just has been us making music for us. So we'll see. Everyone might hate it, but I think that's all right because we like it. We think it's great.
Do you think all those songs will ever see the light of day? Or is there any songs, because some have been left, where you might go back to and you think, all right, well, it's not as like kicking as you first thought? Because a lot of it can be the energy of what you've made it in, and sometimes if you sit on it, then it's still a banger. Like Kevin Parker said that he was going to leave... I think he was going to leave Borderline off this latest album. No, Patience, I think, because he'd made it straight after Currents, and it could have fit on Currents, but he forgot about it and then went back to it in the right space of time. But if he'd have like listened to it in the same time, he'd have just probably left it, and that's a gem. So do you ever worry about anything like that? Like you've got absolute fire on your hands, but because you've sat on them for too long, you might have lost that oomph of him?
There's a couple that lose a bit of oomph, but there's the flip side of that coin. I think when you've been making something, and the process of that involves listening to it a lot. So you've been listening to the same drum loop or the same whatever vocal part for like 9 hours. So of course you think it's amazing because it's all you've heard. And I think sometimes you need to step back and you need to maybe give it a couple of months where you don't hear it and hear some stuff side by side, and then you can make an informed decision about, is this actually good music, or have I just listened to it that many times that I know all the words? You know what I mean? If you listen to anything enough, it's a banger, because that's how your brain works. It's just ingrained into it. And when
you are right.
Yourself, you've got to step back. So I think we've had that time. We've done, like I say, 20 songs, and we can now look at them without any sort of personal attachment to any of them. None of them are all drilled into the brain. we're just looking at them systematically and thinking, that one's a banger, that one's a banger. Let's put them on a disc, hypothetically, and let's go with it. And we've got the rest of them in reserve. So I think now is the time. But I think it's good that it took that long. I think there's something to be said for just making something, putting it out, and forgetting about it. And I think we'll probably try that out a bit more going forward, because otherwise we are literally just going to make songs for just three of us knows everywhere. But this month there will be the first one. The first one will be coming out this month.
Exclusive.
Oh, yeah.
That's a Loose Lips exclusive, people. That is a Loose Lips exclusive.
That is the first, yeah.
And what is it going to be on Spotify and all streaming platforms?
Going to be on all streaming platforms, Spotify. There will not be any physical copies because we can't afford to do that right now because we're all locked in. But yeah, it's it'll be everywhere. On the 29th of May.
29th of May. 29. That's a bit of banter for any New Girls fans. That's on Netflix as well. 29. Shout out to Schmidt. Great show. Anyway, I'll get back to chat, shall I? So, could you see yourselves doing any live streams? Like, I don't know if you saw Anderson .Paak and the Free Nationals one where they were all in different isolation spots, but they were all together playing the parts. I think Stones did it, didn't they? Is it something that you'd look into if you were able to, or even now that the lockdown's lifted slightly, could there be a way around you doing it with social distancing parameters in place? Like, do you think a live stream something you'd look to do to accompany the single release?
You know what? It's funny you should say that then, because we've got a live stream ready to roll.
I swear to anyone, we've not rehearsed this. I swear, like, you could tell by my bambling asking a question. Like, I couldn't even, like, yeah. Are you really?
Yeah.
Have you really got it?
Yeah. Sound. It's going to be. So I think the plan is to do that maybe the week before the release. We're still sort of. It's a new climate for everyone, so we're still thinking of the best times to do things in order to, generate the most hits, I suppose. Just, to get the most people to hear his music. So maybe the week before, maybe 2 weeks before, which I believe might actually be right now. Or is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is right now. So it won't
just drop
It'll
it
be
now.
next week.
Let's play it now. Press play on it now. Let's have a proper exclusive.
Yeah, now we've got it all. It's all tucked away. We've got it all tucked away. We've probably got the next 4 releases ready to go, with dates on them, with artwork, that sort of crap.
So it seems a lot like it's accomplished, like where you're wanting, and it seems very focused. How do you then? What's the next step with getting it seen? How do you get it seen and be heard by the people on the level that it does? Like, what's the plan with that side of it?
If I knew that, I'd be the richest man on earth, wouldn't I? Who knows? Who knows how you get it seen?
What's your strategy? What's your plans?
Make the best music possible, and it'll get seen. That's the plan.
Well, anything like BBC introducing, or any avenues like that? Any sort of links into any stations?
Yeah, BBC Music, BBC Six, Spotify, Apple Music. Just getting on the right playlists, I suppose, is helpful. And we'll be, over the next couple of weeks, getting in touch with radio stations, playlisters, curators, people like that, people such as yourself, just any platforms really to get the word out. But I think there is only, from the ground up, there's only so much you can really do. And at the end of the day,
before it takes a life on of its own. Yeah,
the music's got to speak for itself. I think if you write the best song ever and you play it out your window, eventually people will come and listen to it, because people love music. That's why there are bands. That's why there are singers. So hopefully, maybe my belief is naive, but people will come if you write the best tunes ever. People are gonna like them.
Especially in this time. I was speaking with Dale Castell just before, who's like amassed thousands upon thousands on his DJ live streams and raised like thousands for charitable causes as well. And we were just saying like music proper does bring people together. It's like when you are watching a live stream, even though you're in separate isolation, you still feel connected in that community sense. And that's the power of music. Like music truly is the answer. Yeah. So, you know, in this time, even though it doesn't seem like it'd be the first choice or a rational choice to like release at the moment, maybe it is, because when, you know, no one's got anything else on, maybe if you capture them and they get into it. So on that sense, would you, if you saw a quick success off the first single and say your second single's meant to drop, I don't know, like 3 months down the line, would you bring it forward, or would you bring it forward to have the two parallel off one another and almost like keep that ascent with the momentum?
Yeah, I mean, at least I think so. I wouldn't confess to be an expert in what to do and what not to do. Hopefully, some of my friends, you know, are helping us out in that department, and I'll take their advice. As far as I'm concerned, we can put it all out right now. We can put it out whenever. So yeah, it's whenever the right time is, that's when it'll happen.
Have you got representation?
Not official representation, but we've got, you know, I know quite a lot of people. I've been doing it for a long time. So yes and no.
I was speaking with somebody, Tom Granger. He's a DJ, but he also is a junior agent at Earth Agency. And he's like, look, he's just signed. Is it Jamie from Claxons?
Mm-hmm.
He's just signed like him. He's like new projects and stuff. So he's looking for like acts and that. So that's what I feel like this is. Like I want to link people, you know, if I can see like things and stuff. I want to 100%. Like what I'll do is I'll send him a bit of this and then some of the tunage as well, and I'll see if it's something that he might want to pick up. I did it the other day with some nutritionalists. Like one's more into like the herbal well-being side, and another's into like the frequencies, and another's into the food. So I'm linking them together. Like this is the power of loose lips, man. Connecting the world, brother. That's it.
Yeah, I'm done.
Building that platform.
That's what I mean. That's what we need. We need help wherever we can get it, because it's not gonna walk on its own, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, hook us up, 100%.
Of course I will, brother. Of course I will. So, I mean, I'm excited to hear what the tune is. What's the tune called?
Lift.
So I will have, did you play it in your set? Was it the last song you played?
Yes. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You see.
You
see.
Yeah,
that sounded a bit like, it sounded a bit, I think I said to you, it sounded a bit Lionel Richie meets Prince, I think.
There's definitely a little bit of Prince in there, because, you know, I'm one of his children somewhere down the line. It's a little bit of just all the cool people that I really like. I'm just trying to cram them all into one little box and plagiarize it as much as possible, I think. So there'll be a little bit of that in there. Anything that's gonna, I don't know, make me look cooler than I am. It's all gonna be in there.
No one can make you cooler than you are, mate. We're 508, you know that.
I know.
But is there in your live performances, do you reckon, like one of the times you performed, I know it were more covers that time, but you'd covered the drum breakdown in Am I Wrong, Anderson .Paak, when you did Childish Redbone. So is there scopes of, you know, when bands are just like jamming on stage and then like segueing to different tunes? Maybe that could be a shout as well. Like, is a scope for that, bringing your inspirations and influences through that then blend into certain songs, like mixing it?
100%. I mean, we just turn up and have a bit of a laugh with it, really. A lot of our sets where there's just 3 of us, because we're playing together all the time and we're all in jobs where we play covers and stuff like that. We can sort of just bust it out. So we do sometimes just say, "Oh, do you fancy a bit of that one?" Yeah, we'll do it at the time. and it's a bit like DJing in that respect again. It's, you know, what do I really want to play right now? If we've just done 4 of his own and we just don't fancy one, we'll just be like, yeah, stick that one in. It could be anything. But it doesn't really matter.
Do you want to take us through the members of Wildest and what instruments they play and what they bring to the band? What you all bring together?
So we all sort of produce, in effect. Harry plays drums and Jack plays bass, but on all of our songs, there's probably only 1 that have got actual drums on them, maybe 3 that have got bass on them. You know, I'm a guitar player, but there's probably guitar on 2 tunes. So a lot of it is, you know, chopping up samples and nicking bits from other tunes that we like and playing them backwards and sticking them in, and just sort of experimenting with stuff and making weird noises and a lot of synthesizers and keyboards and stuff like that. And it's away from that traditional band element of how you make music. You know, we're not in a room on instruments thinking, okay, this is the chorus, this is this bit. We're literally just like cutting up bits of newspaper and putting them back together again and trying to make something that works. But then that becomes really hard.
It seems that free, like, you know, in the videos that you post up, I'm sure I've seen you like, not as far as cracking eggs, but stuff as random as that, where you've been recording those sounds and putting it through and looping it and spinning it backwards and that.
Yeah, I mean, record anything. If something sounds good, if your fridge door closes in a certain way, because everyone is using, you know, stuff like splice and sample packs in the same drum machines, and everyone's snare drums sound the same. So if you can find something that sounds a little bit weird, a little bit different, then bang it in. Anything that's going to make you stand out, I suppose, is good. It doesn't have to be the best quality thing ever. It could be smashing 2 CD boxes together. If that's a drum, then it's a drum. Play it. The difficulty is then when we come to try and play it live, because it's pretty much all, you know, a electronic recording. Trying to get that across then on guitars, bass and drums, pianos, whatever, is difficult. So it's a totally different set, I think, when you come and see us play than it is what you listen to.
Could you not use one of those sample keypads?
I could, but I'd need another hand. I'd need a couple more arms to play it. So it's a toss-up between getting more people involved, which is fine and it's great, but because me and Harry and Jack have lived together and we know each other and we do the same things all the time and stuff like that, it's very difficult to bring somebody in who's going to sit with the vibe perfectly. They're always going to feel a little bit of an outsider, I think, in that relationship, which is not always fair. So I suppose it doesn't matter if it's different. You know, it can be different, and that's fine. And I think we make it different on purpose. So if you
when you're live,
yeah, when you come and see us play, it'll be a totally different thing altogether, and it'll probably be totally different the week after for whoever comes to see us then, because we're just kind of making it up. Really, we don't really know what we're doing. We're just doing it. We've got a gig on, so fuck yeah, great, let's do it. And then afterwards it was like, oh, that was good, we'll do that again, or we'll try and do it again, but it'll happen a bit different next time. You know,
do you think any live recordings could go out with any of the releases to show the varying differences between the 2 styles and how it grows?
Eventually, yeah. Obviously, we've got to get out and do them before we can get any of them. So that might be a while off, unfortunately. We've got a couple of live sessions that we've done in the locker, but we want to get out and play again just the same as everybody else does. So it'll be a little while before that happens yet, but eventually at some point.
Who, when it all does boot off, would you love to tour alongside?
For me, it'd be Tame Impala, definitely. That'd be probably the deal breaker. Just because it's just madness in it. It's just swirly whirly madness that you can just get lost in for hours, which I tend to. So I'd love to do a bit of that, but then I'd love to also tour with John Legend. Just
Mm,
because I really like some acts where you know this guy knows what he's doing.
yeah.
You know, like he's got it down. His band are going to be amazing. He's really going to have his shit together. And it's not a sort of act where, like us, they're just sort of throwing shit at the wall and seeing what happens. It's like a fully polished fucking big deal thing. So I'd like to see a bit of that, or tour with a bit of that, because we might even rub off on us a little bit. We might learn something, or at least be associated with something that works as a well-oiled ship, instead of just getting two tuna sandwiches and rubbing them together and seeing what happens. You know what I mean?
What's the biggest arena or size venue you've played at the moment to this point?
Uh, Personally,
Yeah.
um, O2 size arenas up and down the country, but not with Wildest. Wildest, the biggest one we played was a Porto, which is like 80 people. So it's, different scopes, different scales, but different things. But, there's not to say that Wildest this time next year won't be playing stadiums. There's not to say that we might be
Well,
playing
well,
4 or 5
well,
people
well,
in someone's kitchen. It could be out. But as long as the music's great, then that's fine.
I was gonna say that. Do you ever vision arenas? Because for me, like with my comedy, I get put off by arenas. I
Mm,
feel like I'd prefer to do 3 tour dates in the same city that would equate to the same number as one hit at an arena, just because I think it's a lot more intimate. So I
yeah.
wonder, where do you see it? If it was arena stage status that you'd reach, would you do arenas or would you look at another way around it?
Like yourself, I think it is when you play in an arena, it's almost like playing to a window with some people behind it, because you're that far away. You can't really see people's faces. You can't really see anything, and the place is so big you can't even see the people you're on stage with. It's a very you feel it's weird, but you feel very alone, and there's so many people there, but you feel like you're by yourself. Whereas in a small venue, when you can't really move, that's when you feel like there's more people there. There's
Yeah.
more energy. So I'd definitely go for a smaller venue over a bigger one. But then everyone wants to play a big venue, don't they? I'd love to play stadiums all the time. That'd be class. I could talk up small venues all I like. The dream's definitely the big time stadiums, obviously. But
Fair.
I think the dream at the minute, which I didn't really have growing up so much. When I was growing up so much, it was definitely stadiums and this and that. Now it's just I feel like I'm just getting away with it, in terms of I've got the best job ever, just making music and having a good time all the time. And how long can I get away with this for? How long can I just continue on this path before somebody just shakes me up and be like, "Nah, mate, go get a job." So as long as I can carry on doing that, I'm sound. Stadiums or not, it's like, yeah, all right.
I love that because that energy definitely goes into it. That playful cheekiness of we're getting away with this. Like, what else can we get away with? It's a lifeline.
100%. It's all about that. Just keep going for as long as you can, and hopefully I'll get all the way there. And by that I mean, we'll die doing it. Whatever the success rate is, as long as we just keep going and we're having a good time, and we don't have to do something you don't like doing all the time. As long as you can do something you like doing all the time, you've won. Doesn't matter whether the people in the stadium agree or if there's anyone else in your stadium. As long as you're in your stadium having a great time, then
Solo stadiums.
yeah,
That's what we're in now, pretty much. We're
pretty
having
much.
best
Yeah.
time.
There could be, there's no limit to how many people could watch this. Maybe 5, maybe 5 million. It's go and have a look.
We create and then we wait for the people to catch on.
That's it. That's it. You never know.
Where can people find your online life and detail to check out when the new release is and a bit more about Wildest?
It is Wildest UK, so at Wildest UK, and that should be on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. It'll be absolutely nowhere until the 29th of May, and then it should be all upon you. So if you're already watching this and you're already following this, you'll see it. So don't even worry about it. You'll find it. It will find you. But yeah, up until the 29th, because we don't have any music out, there's not a lot I can really point people in the direction of.
The countdown. Give it a countdown. That's what it is. It's a countdown.
I'll give it a big, maybe a 4 countdown, 4 days. I think 5's a bit too. Everyone does 5, don't they? We'll go for 4. We'll stick
4-day countdown.
Yeah. You see that big 4? That's when you know you got 4 days.
Fair.
Yeah,
I'll agree. 4's my life number, so I'll take that. 4. Good man. Make me a promise of when it does go super big time, like on your keyboard kit or on your guitar or somewhere, in tape you put 508.
100%. It's inscribed down here, man.
I'm probably going to get it tattooed in Roman numerals. I know I told you this. So anyone who's watching, me and Branda, we share the same favourite bus, which is the 508.
It's the best bus I've ever been on.
It's a proper bus of like journeying of dreams. Like it unites the trifecta of Yorkshire, Halifax, Bradford, Leeds.
Mm-hmm.
Like it takes us to big time.
Yeah,
from home to the big time.
From the home to the city.
From home to the city, it is.
It's great. It's the best bus. It takes fucking hours. It takes like an hour and a half now, but it's a long time to reflect.
Yeah, to get stuck into something.
The destination's worth the journey. It doesn't matter which way you're travelling. It's the best bus to be on. Good man.
Well, thank you for that, Nat, my brother. I'll get this uploaded and sent to you over the next few days. Obviously, I'm going to be a megaphone when I see the countdown come on, and always supporting. And behind the scenes, if you want me to send any bios or wording to anyone that I've been speaking with, you know I'm always there for you, brother. You know that. Respect.
What?
Shout out to the Wildest. Shout out to my boy Branda. Respect, man. Stay safe in this time.
Andrew. See you soon, bro.
Peace. There you go, chatting to James Branda of Wildest. Make sure you do give them a follow. It's at Wildest UK on Instagram. They're going to be releasing new material in around about 16 days. So make sure you do keep a tab of that. If you're new to this, I am Ben Random, and this is Loose Lips. And what we do is we speak with people from all across the planet, different walks of life, to instill optimism during this time. And my next chat is going to be with photographer Neil Bedford. He snapped the likes of Pharrell, Kobe Bryant, bless his soul, Serge from Kasabian, like so many people. Like, trust me, this is going to be a real enlightening chat to see how we got into it, who he snapped, and all other elements like that. So I'll catch you in 5 minutes. Peace. Hey up, how do